Hi, welcome to yoga today. So today you get to see a little bit more of my cat. He decided he liked being on YouTube. And we are going to work into arm balances. So whether that actually means standing on your hands or not, we'll see, right? So there are lots of places to be. Make sure you work where you are. Find a little bit of a challenge without going crazy and enjoy yourself. Have a great practice. Let's come to a comfortable seat. Taking inner thigh rotation, inner thigh down, outer thigh out of the way. Becoming upright on your pelvis. Engaging through the core, lifting the pelvic floor, pulling the lower belly in and up, sitting tall through the sides of the body. Relax into your hips and shoulders, bringing the head right over the shoulders. Drawing the awareness inward, finding your breath. Gradually begin to expand into each breath. And work to find a just beyond comfortable place. And remember to stay connected to that breath no matter what else does or does not happen here. Let's begin to add movement, extending the arms out to the sides. With the inhale, lift them up toward the ceiling, and then exhale, bring them back down again. Again, like that. And once more. Sitting tall here. Bring the left hand to the right knee, right hand back behind the body a bit, and give yourself a gentle little twist to the right. Release that, back through the center. Take the same thing to the second side. Nice gentle twist to start. Back through the center and over to that first side again. Using your right arm like your second spine, push into the floor. Take the left hand and pull against the knee a bit to rotate the belly toward the side ribs toward the back of your mat, and that right shoulder as far back as it'll go for now. Keeping the spine long, nice full breaths. Releasing back through the middle and over to the second side. So again, use your arms, gently making your way around a little bit deeper into the twist. Releasing back to center. And from here, we'll make our way around onto hands and knees. Wrists up underneath shoulders, knees up underneath the hips. Spread the fingers wide, ground into the four corners of the hands. And starting with some cat-cows, on an inhale, take the belly toward the mat. Exhaling, stretch the spine toward the ceiling. Connecting to the breath, moving in and out of those two poses. Taking one more flow like that in and out. And we'll find a neutral spine here. Shifting the hands forward or the knees back, make your way into a kneeling plank. Belly pulled in, shoulders neutral on the back. We're going to stay on the knees for right now and bend the elbows just enough to bring them in line with the rib cage. Squeeze the elbows in, hover in this middle, push back up, and sit back into a child's pose. Let's do that again. Shift forward. Bend the elbows just enough. Bring them into the middle here. Keep the upper body neutral. And pushing back up, sit back into child's pose again. One more time here, shift forward. Bend the elbows, hover in this halfway place, belly's pulled in. This time drop down to the belly. Slide the hands back next to your side ribs, roll into your shoulders, tiny little baby cobra here. Maybe pull into the hands, press into the hands if you'd like to come up a little bit higher. Keep the elbows in. And then release it. Lifting the belly at the same time as the chest. Come into that halfway place. Elbows tight to the rib cage. Push all the way up and sit back into child's pose again. Opening up the knees. See if you can sink a little deeper, maybe between the legs. Shifting the hips back a bit more if they'll go. Making your way into a down dog from there. Let yourself move and stretch as always. And then settling in, press the heels back, press the chest back, active into the hands here. Keeping the hands even into the mat, come up on your toes and let the heels drop over to the left. We want to keep the hips high, pressing the right hand into the mat. Nice stretch up the right side of the body. From there, let the hips come down, bring the right hand to the hip, maybe up toward the ceiling if you like, transitioning into the side plank. So there's variations, of course, knee in front, the left knee to the mat if that's you. Take what's yours. Moving back to our down dog, we will do the exact same thing to the second side. So coming up on the toes, let the heels drop over to the right. For now, the hips stay high and that left hand stays planted firm. Transitioning into your side plank. Remember, you can have a knee down variation, a kickstand variation, feet stacked maybe. Play with where you need to be. And then take it back to down dog again. From here, we'll lift the right leg. Let the hip open, take the toes as high as they're gonna get, and then bend at the knee, pointing the knee toward the ceiling. Work to keep your hands and shoulders even and level. Take the legs straight, square the hips and release the toes. Working to the second side. Lift the left leg. Open at the hip and bend at the knee. Shoulders stay level. Breathe. And then back into your down dog again. From here, we'll walk the feet forward, come to standing fold. And then walking in place, bend into one knee, press through the opposite heel, moving side to side like that, getting into our hamstrings. Coming center, bend both knees and take your index and middle fingers, wrap them around your big toes. The knees can absolutely stay bent if they need to, otherwise maybe a little straighter. And then either way, bend your elbows out to the sides. And if you still need more, pull against the toes and draw yourself into wherever your stretch is for right now. Releasing that, take the backs of your hands flat to the floor, all the way to the wrist. If you want more, slide the hand up underneath the foot, toes all the way to the wrist crease. And the same idea here, the knees can stay as bent as they need, or they can go a little straighter. You can bend your elbows and maybe even give a little pull here. So again, find where you are, find the stretch. And then we'll release. Sliding the hands up to the thighs, come parallel to the floor. Make sure the belly's pulled in to support the lower back. If you need the support, leave your hands on the thighs or maybe fly the arms back, hands and hips in line. Bending into the knees, make your way into a chair. Again, still being supported, hands can come center or reach up. Let's inhale, stretch to the ceiling, taking the legs straight, release the arms. And then we'll step back with the right foot and we'll make our way into Warrior Two. So turn your left toes toward the top of the mat. The right toes are cut in a bit. Bend into your left knee here, making sure you see your big toe beyond your knee. Extend the arms level to the shoulders. Stretch through your fingertips here. Transitioning into triangle, take the legs straight, stretch the fingertips over the toes, and hinge over, letting the left hand fall, lifting the right arm up toward the ceiling. Even and steady in the feet. Open through the hips. Release it, make your way over into a lunge, coming up on the back toes. And then let's take that left leg straight. So you can take the right knee to the mat if you need. You can prop up on blocks if you'd like. Pull your shoulder blades together on your back. If you want a little bit more, you can maybe flex your left foot back. Add a deeper fold. Find your stretch. Bending back into the knee. Let's step back, down dog. With your inhale, shift forward, come to plank. Knees if you need knees, down to the belly. Sliding the hands next to the side ribs, roll, pull, maybe a little press into your cobra here. Releasing that, lifting up and back, down dog. We'll step the left foot forward, toes to fingers. And then take the hands and walk them around into the center of a straddle. Taking your palms flat to the floor, shoulder width apart, press down into the hands firmly, pull the belly up, and imagine picking your feet up off the floor. Releasing that. We'll take the index and middle fingers, wrap them around the big toes. And just like earlier, if the knees need to be bent, leave them bent. If they're straight, maybe you can bend the elbows out to the sides, gentle little pull to take your stretch deeper. Releasing. We'll walk the hands toward the right foot, keeping the left heel on the floor, right toes to the back of the mat. Lift up, bend into the right knee, make sure you see your big toe beyond your knee, and open the arms for Warrior Two on your second side. Even on the feet, tall through your spine. Transitioning to triangle, take the legs straight, stretch over your toes, and let the right hand fall and the left hand lift. Big full breaths here. We'll release, come over to lunge. Modify if you need to modify here. When you're ready, take the right leg straight. So a nice big fold over the leg, maybe flexing the foot back. Any adjustments you need here to make it your stretch. Bending back into the knee. Let's step back into a down dog. With an inhale, slide yourself forward, come to plank. Knees if you need, knees to the belly. Slide the hands back, inhale as you roll, pull and press into your cobra. Release and make your way up and back, down dog. Stepping the right foot forward, come back to lunge. And walk the hands around into the center of your straddle again. Feet even into the mat. This time here, we'll take the fingers to interlace. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other and stretch the hands away from the shoulders. Allow the upper body to be where it is. Little bend into the knees here if you'd like. And then release, taking the fingertips to the floor. From here, we're going to take the hands and walk them forward. Let your hips come down like plank, up on the toes here. And then walk your hands back into the straddle. We'll do that again, walking out, hips low. Make sure the belly's pulled in. And then back up again. One more time like that. And then from here, take the fingers to point behind you. Walk them as far back as they'll go. And then pulling and pushing against the floor, bend your elbows and drag yourself into the deepest piece of your fold for now. We'll release that, bringing the hands back in. And then walking the feet in so that they're just wider than your shoulders. You can adjust a little in or a little further out here. We'll start by just taking the hands between the feet. And then maybe behind the heels. Allow yourself to wiggle and shift into it. And if that's not entertaining enough, take the hands behind and wrap around, fingers to the tops of the feet. You can stay higher or bend deeper into the knees and let your hips come down. Listen to your body. This is a pretty intense stretch. Make sure you're breathing. And then release all of that. Walk the feet in, turn toward the top of your mat, and go ahead and drop down into a child's pose. So let's come up onto hands and knees from here. We're going to start by simply walking the feet just behind the wrists. Palms are flat, shoulder width apart. Okay. See if you can bring your knees in toward your armpits. I have to stand up on my tiptoes. Maybe that works for you. And then your shins begin to come in contact with your triceps. If you bend your elbows, they become kind of a shelf for your shins, right? Maybe you can shift over to one side and lift the opposite toes up off the floor for a second. And try both sides because sometimes one is different. And then release that and make your way back down. Take a child's pose again. So we're going to work with that one more time. Walk your feet toward your wrists, palms flat, shoulder width apart. Wiggle the knees into the armpits as close as they're going to get. Make the shelf for your shins. Begin to lean forward just a little. If it's scary, have a pillow in front of your face, right? See if you can lift one foot up off the floor. Maybe put it down and try the other. Or maybe they can both come up off the floor at the same time. So just play and wiggle your way into this position wherever you are. Maybe it's getting one toe up off the floor for half a second. Maybe it's holding and balancing here. And then we'll release and drop on back into child's pose again. So we're going to come up, make your way back up onto hands and knees, and we're going to stretch out our wrists here. So instead of having your fingers point forward, go ahead and turn them to point backward toward your knees. So the thumbs rotate to the outsides. If you have your knees a little closer, it's a little easier. If you have them further back, it's a little more challenging. So you decide. Keep just a gentle little bend in the elbows, especially if you're a hyperextender, and maybe shift your hips back toward your heels a little bit. Find the nice stretch in the forearm. Go slow. And then switching that, shift forward, pick your hands up, bring the fingers to point toward each other with the backs of the hands on the floor. So all the way to the wrist, just like we did earlier. The straighter your arms are, the more challenging it gets. Try to have your fingers wide, grounded into the floor as much as possible. And then see about making fists. Keep the backs of the hands flat to the floor. Squeeze your fingers in really tight. And then release the fingers wide. So you're going to go quickly between those two. Squeeze in, wide hand. Squeeze a fist, wide hand. Back and forth like that just a bunch of times. Keeping the backhand on the back of the hand flat on the floor and the elbows as straight as you can. Gently release that. Come to sit up on your heels and just roll your wrists around, nice and easy. And then we'll make our way to a seated position. Extend the legs out long and take your inner thigh rotation again here. Stretch the arms up and take yourself over into a fold. Let your hands fall where they do. Don't worry about touching your toes. Keep the spine long. Inhaling, bring it back up again and release the arms. And we're going to work in boat. So bringing your feet flat to the floor. Hang on to the backs of your hamstrings here. Keep the chest lifted, the belly pulled in, and maybe just barely lift your toes up off the floor. They can stay low. You can come to the middle, shins parallel to the floor, or you can extend your legs, but work to keep your toes high. so that you're using your belly instead of your back. And you can hang on or let go in any one of those positions. Hug the legs toward each other and the thighs in toward the belly. Bring the soles of your feet together. Try to stay balancing. Hang on to your ankles. Let your knees open. Let your hips release. And then take your index and middle fingers and wrap them around your big toes again. Here we're going to take the right leg straighter. Maybe it's straight, maybe it's wide, maybe really neither of those things. And then bring it back in. Switch sides, taking the left leg out. And then bringing it back. Take both legs out and balance here. Bring the legs together, straight or bent. Hug the belly in like crazy. And then what about letting go? Bring the soles of the feet back together, hang on to the ankles, and hinge forward, bringing the feet to the floor. Use the elbows at the inner hips, and then gently work your way forward into a little bit of a fold here. Keeping the spine long, releasing that inner hip. Tipping back up again. Let's take the legs out long. Working into a twist, step the right foot over the left leg. And the left leg can stay extended or bend at the knee, heel in front of the right sit bone. Make sure the pelvis is even and level. Wrap the left arm around the leg. Use your right arm like a second spine. Push into the right arm, pull with the left arm. Releasing back to the center. We'll do the same thing on the second side. So step the left leg over the right. Right leg extended straight out, or knee bent, heel in front of the left sit bone. Wrap the right arm around the leg, left arm like your second spine. Push and pull, drawing the body around into your twist. Releasing back to center again. Release the legs. And we'll make our way into easy pose. So aligning the heels, taking your inner thigh rotation. Remember, you can drop back into Shavasana at this point. Make the body comfortable wherever that needs to be. Turning your attention solely to your breath. Release control, but try to stay attentive to the breath, keeping the mind quiet. Give yourself a few minutes to just rest here in whatever position is comfortable for you. Namaste.